You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You open the document, then close it. You think about posting your work, then decide it's not ready. It doesn't feel like laziness. It feels heavier than that. Almost like if you try, and people see it, something irreversible will happen, so you don't start. But what if you're not avoiding effort? What if you're avoiding exposure? You can work hard when no one is watching. You can plan for hours, research, organize, prepare. But the moment something becomes visible, shareable, measurable, you stall. You say you need more time, more clarity, more confidence, and slowly, opportunities expire. This doesn't just affect productivity, it affects identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who never finishes, someone who has potential, but never executes. In relationships, you hold back opinions. At work, you downplay ideas. Online, you consume but don't create. Your inner dialogue sounds like this: if I try and fail, that's proof. Better to not try than confirm I'm not enough. Psychology calls this self-handicapping. Behavioral science shows that sometimes we sabotage effort not because we don't care, but because we care too much, and the cost of visible failure feels permanent. But here's the part most people miss. Your brain may not be avoiding work, it may be protecting your identity. You are not broken. Avoidance is not weakness. It's adaptation. If at some point in your life mistakes led to humiliation, if success led to higher expectations, if being seen led to criticism, your nervous system learned something very simple. Visibility equals risk. So now, whenever something meaningful puts you in the spotlight, your body reacts the same way it would to physical danger. Not because you're lazy, because your brain is trying to keep you safe. But safe from what? That's where it gets interesting. Your brain has a prediction system. Neuroscience shows that the prefrontal cortex evaluates decisions, while the amygdala scans for threat. When you consider taking visible action, posting your work, applying for the role, sharing the idea, your brain runs a fast simulation. What happens if this goes wrong? If your past contains moments where exposure led to rejection or shame, the amygdala activates. It doesn't distinguish between social threat and physical threat very well. To your nervous system, public embarrassment and physical danger can feel similar. So stress hormones rise, your heart rate shifts, cognitive resources narrow. This is why you suddenly feel tired, foggy, distracted. It's not low motivation, it's threat response. Think of it like a smoke alarm. The alarm isn't broken, it's just sensitive. And instead of walking through the smoke to check if there's real fire, you step away from the kitchen entirely. Avoidance reduces anxiety immediately, and that relief reinforces the behavior. Behavioral psychology calls this negative reinforcement. Avoid. Anxiety drops. Brain learns avoidance works. But long-term, your world shrinks. So how do you interrupt a threat response that feels automatic? Not by forcing confidence, but by changing what exposure means to your brain. Shrink the spotlight. What to do? Deliberately reduce the perceived audience. Instead of post this to thousands, reframe it as share this with one person. Why it works? Your brain reacts to perceived scale. Smaller exposure lowers amygdala activation, making action neurologically safer. Example: send your draft to a friend before publishing publicly. Separate identity from output. What to do? Use language like, this is a draft, not, this is me. Why it works? Cognitive psychology shows identity fusion intensifies threat. When work equals self, any critique feels personal. Example: instead of, I failed, say, this attempt didn't work. You're creating psychological distance. Distance lowers emotional intensity. Practice. Visible imperfection. What to do? Intentionally share something slightly unfinished. Why it works? Exposure therapy and behavioral science shows gradual exposure reduces fear response over time. Small doses teach the nervous system that visibility doesn't equal catastrophe. Example: post an idea without over-editing for hours. Let your brain gather new data. Track avoidance patterns. What to do? Notice when procrastination appears specifically. Before exposure. Why it works? Metacognition, awareness of thought patterns, activates the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotional reactivity. Example: write down, I delayed because I was afraid of being judged. Naming the fear reduces its power. Redefine success as exposure, not outcome. What to do? Measure success by, did I make this visible? Not, did it succeed? Why it works? This shifts reward pathways. Dopamine begins linking action with completion rather than external validation. Example. After submitting something, say, I exposed it. That counts. Over time, the brain learns that visibility itself is survivable, and sometimes even neutral. Integration. Here's the mental model. Your brain is a smoke alarm in a quiet house. At some point it learned that visibility meant fire, so now it goes off at steam. You've been calling yourself lazy, but you've actually been responding to an alarm. The goal isn't to rip it out, it's to recalibrate it. Each small exposure is like opening a window, letting the steam clear, showing the alarm there's no fire. Over time, the system quiets, not because you forced discipline, but because your nervous system updated its prediction. Quiet, empowering close. You are not avoiding work. You are avoiding what your brain believes exposure will cost you. But the version of you that stays hidden also pays a cost. A quieter one. A slower one. The next time you hesitate, don't ask, why am I so lazy? Ask, what am I afraid people will see? Because sometimes the thing you're protecting is the very thing that wants to grow. And maybe courage isn't loud. Maybe it's just staying in the room while the alarm slowly learns it doesn't need to scream anymore.